Hi Leo, and welcome to your Leo January 2022 reading and predictions. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James. For those of you who are stopping by for the first time, and to the subscribers, much love and affection to you always. Now the subscribers will have seen their annual reading, which uses 12 cards, and that's you can find that on my playlist on the channel. Runs for about half an hour, I think. Now, let's have a look at, and it's easy to find on the playlist. Now, this deck, I'm just looking at this deck. You know how normally I use a lot of astrology, horoscope, numerology, and different things, Kabbalah, within the tarot readings that I perform? This month is going to be a little bit different. It's still going to be high quality and intelligent, because I know that you want something which is intelligent. It's not tabloid tarot, this. But the cards here, they invoke centers of consciousness, is probably the best way that I can describe them, which reside in the other realm and which have things to say and things to say to you through me. Now, very often I don't know what it is that's being said, although I am told by people who have had this deck read to them that it all makes perfect sense. But in particular, what they say is that listen not only to the words, but listen to what is behind the words. That is the subtext that's there, because they draw upon the knowledge of the various mystery religions from the Middle East and Greece and Rome, Iran, Iraq, and India, and some North American Indian product as well, and African native pagan religions, and pagan not in a derogatory term, but pagan as in being original. So let's see what there is. We're going to draw 5 and we'll see what comes up, shall we? I think it'll be good for both of us. Well, there's the Fool. You're going to enjoy it, I think that's for sure. There is the 8 of Pentacles. What's down here? There is Temperance. And what is here? The Tower. Well, fascinating, fascinating indeed. And there is the Princess of Cups. Well, what we do normally do, though, is we have you come and sit down here next to me while we have a good close look at these cards together, and I do the reading for you. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's have a look at this card here, the Fool. Well, as the name suggests, a fool is often associated with foolishness, but with its placement here in the major arcana, and its imagery on the card, well, it says otherwise. This foolishness manifests as a divine foolishness, a sacred drunkenness, a mad ecstasy. This unity with Godhead is also a form of self-annihilation, in which the boundaries between I and not I are destroyed, leaving only the divine. This in itself becomes its own form of spiritual madness, as the mystic acts contrary to social convention, seeming crazy to those who do not understand. Now, you may have picked that this is an Islamic image. Well, you're right, because in Islam there are a group of Islamic adherents known as the Sufis. They are mystic. And the Mevlevi order of Sufi mysticism performs a practice that is aimed at achieving this state of madness, and this is known as the Sama ceremony. Initiation into the Sufi path means the surrender of will, the transformation of desire from self-centeredness to God-centeredness, a seeking not so much to escape from self as to transcend or change self, and thus enter into timeless experience. Now, the whirling dance of Sama has caused followers of this order to be known as whirling dervishes. A dervish is another term for an initiate of the Sufi path, though they are properly called, I won't go into the Arabic. The
Whirling is a form of remembrance of Allah, which can bring about an altered state and ecstasy. Like the Fool, although the dance may look chaotic and physically exciting, it is actually a symptom of an ascent of the soul towards unity with the divine. The outward chaos conceals the inner peace. But what is the mystery here? Well, at the beginning it is the end. At the end it is the beginning. The highest point is the lowest, but from the lowest the highest might be attained. This is the path of the holy fool, the madman, filled with the ecstasy of union. What wisdom is concealed in his insane words? What love hidden in the chaos of his whirling cloth and mind? Truly, God comes to us as a madman crying aloud in the streets, as the unutterable truth that spills from the tongue and wild cries for its incomprehensibility. You see me dance, you see the wildness in my step, and only the whites of my eyes betray my drunkenness, but you do not see the union in my heart, nor the indescribable peace in my soul. For I am not I. I is the trap that will hold you in this grave world. Knowing yourself is knowing only your tomb. Join my dance. Let your head grow dizzy from the maddening spinning. Drink deeply of the wine of the beloved. Inhale the opiate of the divine breath that is all. And you shall be as the sacred fool. You shall know the ecstasy of union and liberation from the chains of I. You shall be crazy and holy, knocking as a madman at the door of the beloved. Only when you cannot think of I without thinking of God, when you turn your head in all directions and there is always God, then will the door be opened to you. And then there shall only be one and all and nothing, and your days will be an eternity and a moment, all in the divine bliss of union. Where shall we go next, do you think? Let's have a look and see what there is. Why don't we look at this, hey? Now, you might see this as being an alchemist, and you would be right. Because the card image, I think, portrays the mysteries of temperance as the art of alchemy, though it bears common mysteries also. Here is the art of blending different aspects of something to create something better, of manipulating the resources you have in a process of creation, of tempering your activities to ensure that, through moderation, you are productive. The name of this card, I don't think, adequately conveys the depth of mystery that it holds, conjuring up images of quiet virtue and timidity. The title seems to ignore the mystical transformation of the soul that takes place herein, the process by which the base matter of the self can be processed into spiritual gold. However, temperance is the virtue most apt for the art form of the alchemical process, I suppose. This process separates the perfect spirit within from the unrefined base earth, the subtle from the dense, gently, with unremitting care. This is a gentle art performed with prudence and temperance. But what is the mystery to be looked at here? The spiritual journey is one of unending transformation. There is no completion at its far shores, nor the final consumption of the fuel for its phoenix fires. Even the moment of perfect attainment produces the essence of change, for the spiritual accomplishment of one spreads like a wildfire through the web of the world and the hearts of all. Thus, the stone of the philosophers turns lead into gold, the gross into the sublime. Yet, the journey to refine that miraculous stone is one of careful moderation, of the tempering of the heat of the sun and the coolness of the moon, the dryness of the day and the wetness of the night. Like the blacksmith's art of hammering and tempering the metal that will be forged into beauty and death, the alchemist's art shapes and transmutes the base in the vessel, undergoing many stages. The creation of the universe takes place within his art, and the creation of illumination in the vessel of his heart. But slowly, with measured grace and attentive care, must he approach the great work. There he shall rectify the base earth and find the hidden stone. Well, let's have a look at the tower. Now this is interesting, this. These major arcanas here for you. Look at the ashes. Here's an Indian mystic with grave ashes over here, and here are the funeral pyres. Anyway, let's just start by saying this, I suppose, that many people experience the sudden devastation of the tower without conscious decision when external events influence our internal processes. Now, this guy here, he is known as an Agory of India. It's a sect within Hinduism. So for the Agoris of India, this tower-like change is a process that is consciously sought, so they may be liberated from fear and the attachments that hold them in the wheel of suffering. Agoris are ascetics devoted to the god Shiva, who usually perform their rites in cremation grounds or live in them. They paint their skin with the cremation ash, and they are often seen with matted hair or dreadlocks, wearing loincloths, very often completely naked. And sometimes they can drape themselves in funerary cloths and wear necklaces of beads shaped like skulls. Now, as to the mystery of this spiritual energy, for many lifetimes you might chant peacefully in honor of the gods, meditating on their great names on a gentle road to liberation. But I offer you initiation into the mysteries of destruction, incineration, of exposure to the most terrifying and repulsive, so that you might stand and become part of the dance of destruction that stirs up this world. Come to the cremation ground to see how everything burns, how the universe is fed from the fires of the final sacrifice. My adorants, adorned with ash from the cremation pyres, drink thirstily from skull cups, consuming pollution and food with equal acceptance. They have truth in their eyes. They know liberty and freedom, not fear, nor shame, nor desire, nor attachment. They have walked the paths among the corpses and vultures for so long that there is no terror for them. When I finally come for them, I, inexorable, great time, the devourer, they will not weep and cling to the falsehood of self and I. For what are these constructs you have created but a vain attempt to escape death? Foolish. All dies. All that is created must be destroyed. And these bonds you have made will only make it more painful. Let go. Give in. Learn that you have walked among ghosts all of your life. On the day I come for you, covered in ashes and dreadlocks, frenzied and dancing and accompanied by fearsome spirits, I will carry your skull as my cup. Let me take your hand as a lord and father, and your consumption in the great fire will be a swift and sweet release.
Well, we might go and deal with this column on the right, I think, and dealing first with the Ace of Pentacles. Let's have a look at this. All right. Well, okay. Well, the image here shows the Upaniyama, one of the 16 rites of passage undertaken in Hindu community. This rite marks the start of formal education, as well as the acceptance of a student by a guru. It is also used to mark the beginning of studies and apprenticeships in a wide variety of arts and skills. In many non-Vedic Hindu texts, the education that begins with a ceremony similar to the Upaniyama extends to trades and crafts that would have had guilds, pottery, architecture, and weaving, for example. The practical nature of the wisdom to be acquired is in the earliest descriptions of the ceremonies. Now, following the rite, the guru gives his first instructions to the student to sip water, to do work, and to put fuel on the fire. Now, as part of the ceremony, a sacred thread is given to the new student. This thread signifies the act of entering into the period of learning or apprenticeship. Now, the image here shows this thread, worn already by the guru in the traditional style over the left shoulder and under the right, presenting the thread to the new apprentice. From the moment the apprentice puts the thread on, he will be part of the tradition and begin learning the wisdom of the ages as well as the practical skills for adult life. Now, behind the ceremony stands a large statue of Ganesha, who was worshipped, well, certainly in Cambodia from the 6th century, widely revered as the remover of obstacles and a patron of those undertaking study. But what is the mystery? The mystery is this: the sacred thread runs through the ages, binding every student and master that has gone before you. Take the path of learning, and you shall be treading in the footsteps of countless sages. This is the foundation of all knowledge, of every skill and art, the enduring wisdom attained through application throughout time. This sacred thread is your right, as your ancestors carved teachings from the unhewn rocks, so that those that came after might continue the quest. Yet do not take it upon yourself lightly. The thread is a heavy burden, serving to remind you of your duty and the dedication and work that you must offer to that lineage of sages in order to grow and add to the repository of learning. It is the foundation and the goad, the calling of your ancestors and your blood to work. I am the guru, and the application of learning, the test and the obstacle to be overcome, the foundation of wisdom and memory, the craftsman who never stops learning, and the student who drinks in the words of the ages. Sit at my feet with open ears and willing heart, and you'll come to know the blessings of wisdom. Now that takes us, I think, to the final card, is it? Yes, this one. Which is who? Now, let's have a look.
The Princess of Cups is Psyche, from the Greek mythology. Psyche means breath of life or soul in Greek, and Cupid, her lover, is from Cupido, desire, who is also Eros. Psyche is often represented in art as a butterfly, or given butterfly wings, symbolizing the soul and wonder. She transforms from being a person who exhibits little emotion, blind to her own emotional self, to an awakened soul yearning for eternal love and reunion with the divine. Now in this card here, you can see the image. We see budding red roses on a bush near Psyche. Now, that refers to an old Gnostic text in which the first rose is created from the blood of Psyche's virginity on her wedding night, another symbol of her awakening. Now, there is a decorated box behind Psyche. This is the box that she will shortly take with her into the underworld to collect Persephone's beauty and to give it to her mother. It places the Psyche of the Princess of Cups in a state of awakening and being in love while having the final stage of divine ascension yet to come. She has fallen in love with love, seen its true form, but is not yet reunited with it and her divine origin. Now the mystery associated with her is this, I think. You pass your time on earth in darkness, blind and veiled. You share this in kind with the greatest of the universe's mysteries, for though you are blinded, you might be unveiled in revelation. To understand this teaching and descend into it, you must know that until now you have been dreaming, entertained by shadows on a wall. You are the divine waiting to be born to liberty. I am the way of awakening. It is my feet that trod the first dew-dropped road down the river of stars and buried into the world of the soul, fleeing from its origin. I made it one drop in the ocean of being, one flame in the darkness. I am the breath of life, the soul and the spirit manifest in the cave, encased in wonder and beauty. I am the eyes that look upon the abode of earth with amazement and wonder. I carry with me all joy, pleasure, and vision. For like you, I am a mystery, enshrined in the temple of flesh, and the universe does not end at my skin. I, in my wonder, found awakening, and in the darkness I held out a flame to behold the divine. There I fell in love with love, and it answered back, falling in love with the soul. The soul is destined to be manifested in flesh, fallen and fragile, yet sacred and eternal. This is the divine mystery, that you are at once the lowest and the greatest in potential. But imagine yourself not as a spirit alone, separated from the far shores of the divine, for you are an ocean teeming with life. You are a river that cannot be stepped into twice. You are the cup from which the world drinks, which is beheld at the moment of revelation, and it is your eyes that behold. Fall in love with love, and you will wonder at the visions that are granted to you. Well, that's the way it is for you this month.
Well, that's January 2022 done for you. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating, I think. Don't you? I think it's going to be a great month for you. And don't you deserve it? You really do. Anyway, some interesting food for thought there, I think, and you know how to do it. Onwards and upwards for you always. Now, remember one thing, and it's one thing to remember until I see you again, and it is this, that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.